My dear friends, we all want success. We all want happiness. We all want peace. But often, God, it's not the world outside that stops us. It's the noise inside our own minds. You see, the mind is like a garden. If you plant flowers and nurture them, it will be full of fragrance. And God, but if you let weeds grow, they will choke the life out of it. Negativity is nothing but weeds in the garden of the mind. Many people think success is only about talent, hard work, or opportunity. But what they forget is, a negative mind can never create a positive life. If your mind is filled with doubt, criticism, fear, and comparison, God, even the best opportunity will feel useless. That's why removing negativity is not optional. It's essential. Negativity doesn't always come from others. Sometimes we are our own biggest critics. We tell ourselves we are not capable, not deserving, not good enough. But remember, the mind believes whatever you repeatedly tell it. If you feed it with discouraging thoughts, it will believe them. 16 hours in God. If you feed it with encouraging ones, it will believe them too. When negativity controls you, it's like carrying a backpack full of stones while climbing a mountain. Every step feels heavier, but when you let go, the journey becomes lighter and more enjoyable. The truth is, negativity can't survive without your attention. The less you focus on it, the weaker it becomes. We cannot stop negative situations from happening, but we can stop them from living rent-free in our heads, ours and God. And once the mind is free from these toxic thoughts, success becomes a natural outcome, because a clear mind is creative, confident, and courageous. My friends, you are not here to just survive, you are here to shine. Remove the clouds of negativity and let your inner sun rise. Your success will not just be measured in money or fame, but in the joy and peace you carry along the way. The mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant, it will grow. Flowers or weeds, beauty or thorns. If you plant seeds of hope, love, and gratitude, you will see your life bloom in colors you never imagined. But if you allow seeds of doubt, fear, God, and criticism to take root, they will grow into thick weeds that choke the very joy out of living. The truth is, 16 hours and God. Nature doesn't care what seeds you plant. It will simply give life to whatever is sown. The same is true for your mind. Imagine you buy a piece of land. You have a choice to cultivate it carefully or neglect it. If you choose to leave it alone, weeds will take over. You don't even have to invite them. They will come on their own. And God. Negativity in the mind works the same way. If you don't actively cultivate positive thoughts, and God, negativity will creep in by default. It's simply the law of the inner world. We often underestimate the effect of our thoughts. A single negative thought can spread faster than a rumor in a small town. You might wake up feeling fine, but then remember an old failure, and suddenly the whole day feels heavy. That's one weed growing. God, then you compare yourself to someone else's success on social media. That's another weed. By the end of the day, your mental garden is overrun, and you wonder why you feel drained. God. Just like a real garden needs daily care, your mind needs regular weeding. You cannot plant roses once and expect them bloom forever without care. In the same way, you can't just think positively once and hope it lasts forever. Every day, you must check your mental soil. Ask yourself, what have I been planting today? If the answer is self-doubt, resentment, or unnecessary worry, it's time to pull those weeds out. Now, here's the interesting thing. Weeds grow quickly because they require little effort. And God. Positivity, on the other hand, takes work. Just like growing vegetables needs planning, watering, and patience, cultivating a positive mind requires intentional effort. But the rewards are worth it. A mind full of positivity attracts good people, good opportunities, and good energy. Let me give you a simple practice. In the morning, when you wake up, instead of checking your phone for messages, check your mind for thoughts. Before the weeds have a chance to grow, plant a few good seeds, gratitude for another day, belief that something good will happen, and confidence that you can handle whatever comes your way. Then water these seeds throughout the day with kind words, uplifting actions, and healthy habits. You might say, but I can't control my thoughts. That's not entirely true. And God. You can't stop weeds from appearing, but you can stop them from spreading. When you notice a negative thought, don't argue with it. Simply replace it with something better. If your mind says, I'm not capable, respond with, I'm learning and improving every day. Over time, the weeds will find it harder to grow in such fertile, well-guarded soil. Remember this, a beautiful garden is never an accident. It is the result of consistent care. In the same way, a beautiful, successful life is the result of a consistently positive and disciplined mind. Tend to your inner garden every day, and it will reward you with the fragrance of peace and the fruits of success. Success is impossible with a mind full of doubt, fear, and criticism. You can have the best opportunities in the world, the most supportive people around you, and even the skills to achieve your dreams. But if your mind is constantly whispering, you can't do it, then you've already lost half the battle before you even start. And God. Think of your mind as the control room of your life. Every decision, every action, every step you take comes from what's happening inside it. If the control room is filled with static, signals of fear, messages of self-doubt, constant criticism, how can you expect the machinery of your life to function smoothly? You might still move forward, but it will be slow, tiring, and full of mistakes. Fear is like a shadow. It follows you everywhere unless you face the light and God. Doubt is like a chain. It keeps you from running even when the path is clear. Criticism and God, whether from yourself or from others, is like a thorn in your shoe. You might still walk, but every step will hurt. Together, these three, fear, doubt, and criticism, form a toxic trio that suffocates success. We often think failure comes from lack of talent or resources. But in reality, many people fail simply because they never truly start. And God, they are so busy questioning themselves that they never give themselves permission to act. How many ideas die in the mind because fear whispers, God, what if it doesn't work? How many dreams are left on the shelf because doubt says, you're not ready yet? How many chances are missed because criticism tells you, God, you're not good enough? Let me share a simple example. Imagine a talented singer who has practiced for years. She has the voice, the skill, and God, and the passion. But before going on stage, she tells herself, what if I forget the lyrics? God, what if they don't like my voice? What if I fail? By the time she walks onto the stage, her hands are shaking, her voice cracks, and her performance suffers. Not because she wasn't good enough, and God, but because the fear and doubt had already weakened her before she even sang the first note. The truth is, success is as much about the mind as it is about action. You cannot fight a battle outside if you've already lost the one inside. That's why guarding your mind from doubt, fear, and criticism is not just a good habit. It's a necessity for success. One of the best ways to fight this negativity is to replace it with empowering beliefs. When fear says, what if you fail? Answer, what if I succeed? When doubt says, and God, you're not ready, respond, I'll learn along the way. When criticism says, you're not good enough, declare, I'm better than I was yesterday, and I'll be better tomorrow. This mental shift might seem small, but over time, it builds the resilience and courage needed to take big steps. 16 hours and God. You'll notice something interesting when you do this starts to feel lighter. The obstacles don't vanish, but they no longer seem impossible. Zen God. Opportunities begin to appear because your mind is no longer filtering them through fear. People respond to your confidence, and situations open up in your favor. Remember, the world will always have enough challenges for you to face. Don't add more by letting doubt, fear, and criticism live in your mind rent-free. Clear that space, and you'll find that success is not a distant dream. It's simply the next natural step. Negativity often comes from within through self-criticism and limiting beliefs. Many people believe the biggest enemy to their success is the outside world. An unfair boss, unsupportive friends, tough circumstances. But if we're honest, and God, the loudest and most consistent voice that holds us back is the one in our own head. That voice is sneaky. It sounds like you. It speaks in your tone. It knows all your weaknesses, all your insecurities, and all your past mistakes. God. And it uses them against you. Not because it wants to ruin your life for 16 hours and God, but because it's trying to protect you from future pain. When you hear yourself say, "Don't try that, you might fail," that's your inner critic pretending to keep you safe. But in reality, it's keeping you small. A self-criticism is like carrying an overly strict teacher inside your head. One who never praises, always points out mistakes, and marks your best efforts as not enough. Over time, heavens and God, you start believing this teacher's voice so much that even when you achieve something, you downplay it. Someone says, "That was amazing," and you respond, "Oh, it was nothing." But deep down, ours and God, you're not being humble. You just don't believe you deserve the compliment. Then there are limiting beliefs, the invisible walls we build around ourselves. 16 hours and God. These are not truths, they're just repeated thoughts we've accepted as facts. 16 hours and God. I'm not smart enough. I'm not lucky. I can't speak in public. I'm not good with money. We say these things so often that we start living by them. 16 hours and God. It's like having an open field in front of you, but choosing to walk in circles because you believe there's a fence. God. The dangerous thing about these inner barriers is that they're self-made. And because we created them, we don't question them. If someone else insulted us, we might fight back. But when the insult comes from our own mind, we nod and accept it without resistance. Imagine this, and God, you're a bird in a cage, and the door is wide open. You could fly away anytime. God. But because you've been told your whole life that you can't fly, you never even try. 16 hours in God, that's how limiting beliefs work. They make you believe freedom is impossible even when it's right in front of you. The first step to breaking free from self-criticism and limiting beliefs is awareness. Pay attention to the language you use when you talk to yourself. Would you speak to a friend the way you speak to yourself? If not, why allow it? Replace "I'm so bad at this" with "I'm learning and improving." Replace "I always fail" with "This time I'll try a different approach." The second step is to challenge the belief. Ask yourself, who told me this? Is it actually true? Or can I find one example that proves the opposite? More often than not, you'll realize that these beliefs are built on assumptions, not evidence. Lastly, treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer to someone you love, and God. You wouldn't tear down your best friend when they're trying something new. So don't do it to yourself. Celebrate small wins, forgive small mistakes, and God. And remind yourself that progress is more important than perfection. When you begin to silence the inner critic and dismantle limiting beliefs, something powerful happens. The voice inside your head becomes your biggest supporter instead of your biggest obstacle. And when your mind is on your side, success stops feeling like an uphill climb. It feels like a natural walk toward the life you've always wanted. The mind believes whatever you repeatedly tell it. Choose empowering thoughts. This is one of the simplest yet most powerful truths about human life, and yet it's one that most people forget. Your mind is like a sponge. It soaks up whatever it's exposed to over and over again. 16 hours in God. If you keep telling yourself that you're not capable, not deserving, or not ready, God, your mind will accept it as fact. And you will start living as if it's true. Think of for 16 hours and God. Think of it like this: your mind is both the author and the reader of your life's story. Whatever words you write in it, the mind will read, believe, and then act upon. If the story you write is full of doubt, fear, and limitations, your actions will follow that script. But if the story is filled with courage, resilience, and possibility, you'll begin to act in ways that align with that belief. You see, the mind doesn't have a built-in truth detector. It doesn't automatically separate facts from falsehoods when it comes to what you tell it about yourself. If you say, "And God, I'm terrible at learning new things," your mind will accept it and stop looking for ways to grow. If you say, "And God, I'm getting better every day," your mind will accept that too and start finding evidence to support it. 16 hours in God. This is why repeating empowering thoughts isn't just positive thinking. It's mental programming. Gaur's God, we've all seen people who constantly speak negatively about themselves. They call themselves unlucky, say things never work out for them, God, and even joke about their failures. Over time, those words create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The mind starts to see the world through that lens and unconsciously steers them toward outcomes that match their beliefs. On the other hand, 16 hours in God, those who speak about themselves with confidence and optimism tend to notice more opportunities, take more action, and recover from setbacks faster. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you wake up in the morning and say to yourself, "This is going to be a terrible day." Without realizing it, you've given your mind a command. Find reasons why today is terrible. And your mind will obey. God, it will focus on the traffic jam, the rude comment, the minor inconvenience, and God, and ignore the good things that happen. Now, imagine waking up and saying, "This day will bring me something good." Your mind will now look for reasons to confirm that belief. The friendly smile from a stranger, the small win at work, the moment of laughter with a friend. And God, the difference is not in the events themselves, but in what your mind was told to look for. This is why affirmations and empowering self-talk are so important. They might sound simple, God, even silly, but they work because they train your mind to believe in the possibility of success. When you consistently tell yourself that you can learn, adapt, and overcome challenges, your mind begins to respond with creativity, courage, and resilience. Of course, and God's. It's not about lying to yourself or ignoring reality. If you're struggling in an area, you don't have to pretend it's perfect. Instead, you reframe it, "You, hours and God. I'm still learning. I'm improving. This is a challenge I can figure out. These statements are both truthful and empowering. 16 hours in God. Over time, the thoughts you feed your mind become the beliefs that shape your actions. And those actions create your reality. So choose thoughts that lift you up, not ones that weigh you down. God, your mind will believe whatever story you tell it. Make sure it's a story worth living. Carrying negativity is like climbing a mountain with unnecessary weight. Thousand God. Imagine you're on a hiking trip to reach a beautiful peak. The air is fresh. The view ahead is promising. And the journey could be exciting. But before you start, you load your backpack with heavy stones. Each stone representing a regret from the past, a worry about the future, an insult someone once threw at you, and the endless what-ifs that haunt your mind. Now, every step feels harder than it should. You're out of breath sooner, your legs ache faster, and halfway up, you start questioning whether the climb is even worth it. This is exactly what happens when we carry negativity in our minds. The mountain is life, the peak is our success and God, and the heavy stones are the unnecessary emotional baggage we insist on taking with us. Many people blame the mountain for being too steep, but the truth is 16 hours and God. It's the extra weight they're carrying that's making the climb unbearable. Negativity has a way of making small challenges feel like massive obstacles. A minor criticism becomes a huge wound. A single mistake feels like a complete failure, and a temporary setback feels like the end of the road. That's because the weight we carry distorts our perspective. Instead of seeing a problem as something we can solve, we see it as proof that we're not good enough. And God, some people get so used to carrying this weight that they forget what it feels like to move freely. They've been holding on to resentment for years, replaying the same hurtful memories, clinging to old failures like souvenirs. They don't realize letting go is not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself so you can keep climbing without being dragged backward. There's a story about a man who was invited to a long journey. He was told he could bring only what he could carry himself and God. He started by packing all his valuable belongings, thinking he might need them along the way. But soon he was exhausted, struggling to move. He watched others pass him with light steps, carrying only essentials. Eventually, he realized that the more he let go, the faster and easier the journey became. In the end, he reached the destination not because he was stronger than others, but because he learned to carry less. Negativity works the same way. When you let go of grudges, forgive yourself for past mistakes, and stop worrying about every possible failure, you feel lighter. Your mind becomes clearer, your energy returns, and you have the strength to keep moving toward your goals. The truth is, 16 hours in God, life will always have challenges. But you don't have to make it harder by carrying extra weight. Start identifying these stones in your mental backpack. Is it the memory of a failure that keeps haunting you? Is it the harsh opinion of someone who never truly knew you? Is it your own habit of expecting the worst? One by one, set them down. You'll be surprised how quickly your pace improves. You don't have to climb your life's mountain with the burden of negativity. Travel light. You carry only the lessons from your past, the hope for your future, and the determination to keep going. The view from the top will be worth it. And the climb will feel far more possible without the unnecessary load. Negativity loses power when you stop giving it attention. 16 hours on God. Think of negativity like an uninvited guest at a party. At first, they're loud, demanding, and God, and constantly trying to get your focus. If you keep engaging with them, they'll stay all night, draining your energy. But if you simply stop feeding them attention, they eventually get bored and leave, and God. Youths work in the same way. The more you focus on them, the more power they gain. The mind works like a magnifying glass. Whatever you focus on appears larger and more significant than it really is. If you give your attention to every small problem, every minor criticism, or every potential worry, you'll magnify it until it consumes your mental space. This is why two people can face the exact same situation, but react completely differently. One person chooses to focus on the small positive in the moment, while the other dwells endlessly on what's wrong. And the difference in their mental state is night and day. When you stop feeding negativity or energy, something magical happens. It begins to wither away. Imagine a plant. If you water it daily, it will grow strong and healthy. If you stop watering it, it will eventually dry out and die. Negativity thrives in the same way. Not because it's inherently powerful, but because we nourish it with our repeated thoughts, attention, and emotional reactions. Of course, and God, stopping your attention doesn't mean pretending the problem doesn't exist. It means refusing to let it dominate your mind. You acknowledge it, deal with it if you must, but you don't replay it 100 times in your head. And God, you don't build elaborate stories around it. You simply let it pass. 16 hours and God. Think about how children sometimes fall and scrape their knee. Some cry for 2 minutes and then run off to play again, forgetting it happened. Others keep looking at the scrape, touching it, talking about it, God, and crying over it again, which only prolongs the pain. Many adults treat negativity the same way. Instead of moving forward, they keep picking at old wounds until they hurt more than they should. The skill here is redirection. If your mind starts spiraling into negativity, shift your focus to something that uplifts you. It could be gratitude for something you already have, a task you can start working on, or even a simple deep breath to center yourself. Every time you redirect and God, you're teaching your brain that negativity is not worth its time. One helpful practice is to ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's helping you, motivating you to take action, learn a lesson, or protect yourself from real harm, keep it. If it's hurting you, making you anxious, paralyzed, or hopeless without offering a solution, let go. Over time, your brain will adapt. It will begin to notice how you reward positive, constructive thoughts with your attention while ignoring negative, destructive ones. Slowly, negativity will stop knocking on your mental door as often because it knows you're not going to entertain it. Remember, God thoughts come and go like visitors. You can't control who knocks, but you can control who you invite in and serve tea to. Stop serving tea to negativity, and it won't stay long. You cannot control all negative situations, but you can control your response. Life is unpredictable. No matter how well you plan, there will be days when things go wrong, people disappoint you, or circumstances turn against you. You can't choose whether it rains or shines, whether traffic is smooth or stuck, or whether every person you meet treats you kindly, but you can always choose how you react to what happens. This is one of the greatest freedoms we have as human beings, the freedom to decide our response. You might not be able to stop the storm, but you can choose whether you stand in the rain and complain or find umbrella and keep moving. The event itself doesn't define you, your reaction to it does. Many people hand over this power without realizing it. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and they spend the next hour fuming. A colleague makes a rude comment, and they replay it all day. They can't change the event, but they keep reliving it through their reactions, turning a 2-minute incident into a tell-all, our emotional burden. Think of it like this: life hands you a cup. Sometimes it's filled with sweet water, sometimes with bitter. You can't always control what's in the cup, but you can decide whether to drink it, throw it away, or even mix it with something better. Your power is in that choice. There's a story about two monks walking along a muddy road. They come across a woman struggling to cross. One monk carries her across and then continues walking. Hours later, the other monk finally bursts out, "I can't believe you carried that woman. We're not supposed to touch women." The first monk replies, "I set her down hours ago, but you're still carrying her in your mind." That's exactly what happens when we keep reacting emotionally to situations long after they're over. We keep carrying over, keep carrying the weight. The key is to respond instead of react. Reacting is instant and emotional, like touching a hot stove and yanking your hand back. Responding is thoughtful and intentional, like noticing the stove is hot and deciding how to handle it safely. In negative situations, reacting often means letting your emotions take over before your mind has a chance to think. Responding means pausing, breathing, and asking, what's the best way forward? One simple technique is the pause principle. When something negative happens, pause for a moment before saying or doing anything. In that pause, You gain the power to choose a response that serves you instead of one that harms you. A rude comment can either be ignored, laughed off, or addressed calmly, all of which keep you in control. Of course, this doesn't mean you never feel upset, angry, or hurt. Emotions are natural and healthy. The difference is that you don't let those emotions dictate your actions in a way that worsens the situation. You acknowledge them, process them, and then act from clarity rather than chaos. God, life will always present situations you can't control, but once you master the ability to control your response, you'll find that negativity loses much of its power over you. And that's when you stop being a prisoner of circumstances and start becoming the architect of your own peace. A clear, positive mind fuels creativity, confidence, and courage. When your mind is free from the clutter of fear, doubt, and constant worry, it becomes like a clean window. You can see possibilities clearly and let light in. Most people underestimate how much mental clarity affects every area of their life. A chaotic mind doesn't just feel heavy, it also limits your ability to think creatively, believe in yourself, and take bold steps. Think about creativity first. Creativity isn't just for artists or inventors. It's for anyone solving problems, making plans, or thinking about new ways to live. But creativity needs space to breathe. If your mind is filled with negative thoughts, you don't have the mental room to explore new ideas. It's like trying to paint on a canvas that's already scribbled over with black ink. Once you clear the negativity, it's like having a fresh, white canvas where you can create something beautiful. Confidence works the same way. You can't feel confident if your mind is constantly playing a loop of your past mistakes or reminding you of your weaknesses. Confidence doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It means you believe you can handle challenges as they come. A clean, positive mind focuses on your strengths, your progress, and your potential, which naturally boosts your self-belief. Then there's courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act despite it. But fear grows stronger when your mind is clouded with negativity. If you're constantly telling yourself, I can't, it's too risky, or I'm not ready, you'll hesitate and miss opportunities. On the other hand, when your mind is clear and positive, you can see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to avoid. That shift is what gives you the courage to take steps others shy away from. It's important to understand that a clear, positive mind doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated. It comes from daily habits that keep negativity from piling up. Just as you clean your home regularly to prevent clutter, you must clean your mind regularly to prevent mental chaos. Meditation, journaling, gratitude practices, and simply spending time in nature are all ways to clear your head and reset your thinking. Let's take an example. Imagine two people are given the same business challenge. One has a mind full of stress, resentment, and self-doubt. They immediately think, this is too hard, I can't figure it out. The other person has a mind that's been trained to focus on solutions, not problems. They think, this is challenging, but I can break it into steps and find a way. Same challenge, completely different approach. And that difference often determines who succeeds and who gives up. A positive mind is like a well-tuned engine. It runs smoothly, efficiently, and powerfully. You can cover more distance with less effort. And just like an engine, it needs the right fuel. Negative thoughts are like dirt in the fuel. They slow you down and damage your performance. Positive thoughts, clear goals, and an open perspective are the clean fuel that helps you move forward with energy and purpose. When your mind is clear and positive, you don't just think better, you live better. You approach situations with calmness, you connect with people more deeply, and you pursue your goals with enthusiasm. That's why protecting your mental clarity is not a luxury. It's the foundation for creativity, confidence, and courage in everything you do. Removing negativity makes the journey to success lighter and more enjoyable. Too often, people treat success like a grueling uphill battle where happiness is something you get only at the finish line. They think, once I achieve my goal, then I'll feel good. But what that they don't realize is that if the journey is filled with negativity, resentment, frustration, self-doubt, even reaching the goal will feel empty. The climb itself is as important as the destination. Think of two travelers climbing the same hill. One carries a heavy bag full of unnecessary items, anger from past failures, fear of future mistakes, comparisons with others, and constant complaints about how steep the hill is. Every step feels exhausting. They barely notice the scenery, the fresh air, or the small victories along the way. By the time they reach the top, they're too drained to enjoy the view. The other traveler carries only what's necessary: lessons from past experiences, gratitude for the chance to climb, and hope for what lies ahead. They take breaks to appreciate the sights, enjoy small moments of progress, and encourage themselves along the way. When they reach the top, they have the energy to truly celebrate. That's the difference removing negativity makes. It doesn't remove all effort from the journey. You still have to climb, but it makes the climb lighter, more pleasant, and far more rewarding. Negativity isn't just heavy emotionally, it's heavy physically. Studies have shown that constant negative thinking can drain your energy, weaken your immune system, and even slow down your ability to recover from setbacks. This is why some people seem tired all the time. Not because they're doing more than others, but because they're carrying mental burdens that weigh them down. When you intentionally let go of negativity, You open up space for joy, creativity, and resilience to grow. A problem that once felt like a massive roadblock now feels like a puzzle to solve. A criticism that once ruined your day now becomes constructive feedback you can use. This mental shift transforms the entire journey. The truth is, success isn't a single moment. It's a series of steps, decisions, and experiences. If each of those steps is filled with negativity, the entire path feels like a punishment. But if you walk the same path with a lighter heart, the process itself becomes enjoyable. You start finding meaning not just in the result, but in the growth you experience along the way. One way to make the journey lighter is to celebrate small wins. Every time you make progress, no matter how minor, acknowledge it. When you do this, you train your brain to associate the journey with satisfaction rather than stress. Another way is to practice gratitude daily. Even on hard days, there's always something to appreciate. A kind word, a new lesson, or simply the fact that you're still moving forward. Remember, a lighter journey doesn't mean an easier one. It means a more meaningful one. Life will still test you, but without the extra weight of negativity. You'll have the strength to keep going and the presence of mind to enjoy the process. Because at the end of the day, success isn't just about where you end up. It's about who you become on the way there.